Good evening. Welcome along to Talkin Kop. See, I'm all on
Good
board
man,
and
Philip.
see that? That's called professionalism, Gav. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? There's a
absolutely.
whole thing that goes in that. You know what I mean?
Well, I
It's
don't
just
know
the way
because you
roll.
kind of went, "Welcome to Talking Cop." Yeah, look at that. Well done. Like, yeah, it was.
Now
It was very good.
we're taking the viewers in behind the fourth wall. Fourth wall, of course, being the visible one that's in front of your TV screen. Good evening, welcome along to Talking Cop. Obviously, if you're waiting around for all the other stuff that used to do before, this is the new setup, and you can see things have changed massively. We've got new graphics, we've got new theme tunes. I was waiting for John Bon Jovi to come across the screen when I heard the soundtrack there, Gav. I was like, this is mad. And yeah, that's it. So tonight we're going to do something slightly different than the show. I think everyone got used to the winners and losers thing, but we're picking Everton or Manchester United or Ten Hag for 14 months straight.
In a
We
row.
decided that we needed to go with something different, right?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do tonight, what we've decided to do on a Monday night, is that we'd open the floor to a topic. Because it's sort of what we were doing with winners and losers, right?
Are we keeping
And then we do
the?
a
Are we
quick-
keeping the? Are we keeping the quick round
Quick
at the
fire
end,
round at the end.
where we can just
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
you what's good and bad for
Yeah.
the weekend? Yeah. Okay. I like
What's
that.
good and
Okay.
bad for the weekend? So because I like that, right? And I'm keeping that. It was
Yeah,
a great
yeah.
one, and
Yeah.
and also
You
and
got
so
that in
that's
the
what we're going to do.
inheritance.
I did. I got to keep that one. I said,
got
I
that in
don't
the
mind
will.
what you do with that, Gav, but I'm
Yeah.
keeping the quick fire round at the end, right?
Yeah.
So you can change whatever you want, but I'm keeping that bit. So tonight on the show, we are going to be talking about goalkeepers bingo. We are going to be talking about the speed of the game, and we're going to be talking about the TNT commentary from Derby. Now you'll have to excuse me, but lads, TNT is that? What's that? Is that who? Is
BT.
that, what is it?
BT
All right.
Sport, the old BT Sport.
Yeah.
All right, Grant. That's okay. I was a bit ignorant what that was. I actually didn't know what it was. I thought it was dynamite, but I just wanted to know what it was. So, yeah, that's Grant. It isn't like the one they have in America for the American football where they do like the kids version, the Nickelodeon coverage, and they put like slime and stuff on the goals and stuff like that. And who's going to get slime?
No. It's just BT being bought over by some crowd called TNT. It's all the same people. Like they've added in a few, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's just the same setup. It's the same thing, but it's just under a different name.
All right, Grant. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing tonight, and then we'll have a quick fire round at the end and see if anybody wants to pull out things that they saw at the weekend that they liked, didn't like, and whatever they want to do. So that's the story. Anyway, joining me tonight, we've got Gav, the main man behind the Talkin Kop, and then we've got Robbie, who is an old crew member from way back in the days, has been in the bunker.
Yep.
One of the few that's been there, but has been in the bunker.
Survived.
I know, yeah.
And the studio.
And the studio, and it's been around all the time. Whenever there's been something going on, Robbie pops up every now and then.
I'm probably got a signed David Fairclough book from the time you went to the pub that time. Well, if you don't,
I saw that on eBay.
yeah, if you don't, Nilo has about 47 of them at home. So if you're stuck for a David Fairclough book.
Just before they went for chips, Robbie got his book signed, so that was the most important thing that happened in terms of what went down at night. Good to have you on, Robbie. Thanks for coming on, and thanks. And we get into it. Right, so look, since I've no idea I had no idea what this was, go on, Robbie, lash us into the TNT commentary. I'm taking it that there's some effusive praise coming up for the brilliant analysts that they have on this channel and the commentators to match.
No, this is bizarre.
The thing about it is, during the World Cup, I don't have ITV. I never saw a match. I haven't seen a match on ITV in ages, but everyone was talking about this, this guy on ITV on the World Cup, and he was a brilliant co-commentator, and he's fantastic, and and now he's surfaced now on the Premier League, and the guy I'm talking about is Ali McCoist, who gave what now most co-coms are pretty poor, but he gave an absolute shocker of a performance on Saturday, I thought, in my opinion anyway. He like, just for example, he wanted Ashley Young to stay on the pitch after the second yellow, which I thought was like a ridiculous decision. And then he just constantly moaned between that and the time then Kanate possibly should have been sent off. He just moaned constantly about that decision and the fact that the referee didn't give him a third or a second warning and then give him a yellow if he infringed again. So now Ali wants 3 yellow cards. You know what I mean? Doesn't want two. Two's not good enough. He wants 3 yellow cards now. So like, and it's not as if we're getting these decisions every week. You know what I mean? But it's eight seasons since an opposition player has been sent off for 2 yellow cards in the league at Anfield. So it's not like we're getting these decisions all the time. But he kept just going on about it constantly, non-stop. And then penalty that wasn't with Diaz, straight away he was saying, no chance. But we've all seen them given, you know. It wasn't like that definitive that it was just no way it was that a penalty, you know. So he kept going on, and that was the next one. He did say, I took a note of it, he said that the job of the referee is to keep 11 players on both sides on the pitch as much as possible, which frankly is bullshit, you know. Yeah. I mean, who's responsible for the players' behaviour? The players, not the referee, right? If a player makes a leg break and tackle or whatever, he's allowed to stay on because we need, for the game, we need 11 players on each side. So he just went on one, and it was just constantly biased, you know. And then the penalty that was given, again, not a penalty for me, not a penalty. Before and even after VAR, he still couldn't let go of the fact that that it was a pen, and it was as clear as day. I know the pen wasn't given in our favour, but as soon as I saw it, I knew VAR was going to overturn it. It was obvious, you know, but not to Ali, you know, and not to his mate Rio, but I don't want to talk about him because he's an idiot anyway, you know. But this guy was supposed to be the greatest thing on Coke Holmes. Of course, he had the meltdown then when Kanate wasn't sent off. Now, you know, I mean, that was, he could have, it was 50-50 whether he was or wasn't, but suddenly the 3 yellow card rule didn't apply anymore because Everton had the man down. So and just constantly, like, once we got to the first goal, it was obvious, like, it was obvious to me, and I thought we controlled the game pretty well after that, and Everton weren't doing much. It was just a constant diatribe against the referee and against, you know, how the ref stuck to the rules. Well, you know, and didn't referee by context for once, which is a big bugbear of mine. I hate that refereeing by context thing. But it wasn't good enough for Ali, and he just basically moaned, and I thought he was fucking terrible, to be kind. Can I swear on this? I'm sorry.
Would you like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can, yeah.
He was.
You want to take your top off? Walk away.
Not yet, but yeah, and you know, it was just like plucky old Everton. Forget about it, lads. Do you know what I mean? They spent millions. You know what I mean? It's just bad. They're just a badly managed club. You should be doing better. They're not plucky. Do you know what I mean? It's not as if we were playing Macclesfield Town or something like that. You know, you're supposed to be. These guys are supposed to be. Well, I think they should be. They're supposed to be impartial. It wasn't. Are you telling me if that was England versus Scotland and Scotland got all those decisions, he'd be saying the same thing? Not a fucking chance. Do you know?
Gav, before I get into this, because I've been well versed on what I think of football. Not football in general, but football probably in general, but television stations, pundits, analysts, the whole lot. So I'll let you go, then I'll just unleash.
Yeah. So Robbie's 100% right in what he's saying, right? But he's saying there, like Robbie says, referee didn't referee in context, you know, or to the, you know, he's not letting the occasion get to him, I suppose. He's just reffing it as he sees it, and he's making the decisions, right? It's the complete opposite with TV stations, right? Now, TNT are all over the place, in my opinion, right? I genuinely thought it was 4 of them commentating on the fucking game the other day. There was a fella commentating. Ali McCoy was shouting like glue mortar about everything. Rio Ferdinand just kept appearing, going, Everton should be looking for this, and Everton should be fucking looking for that. And Everton, if I was Everton, I'm going, you're not Everton. And where did you come from? He just appeared, right? And I said it on last night's show. It was like they got to the studio and they went, sorry lads, we've ran out of chairs and mics. Right, but there's a couple on the gantry there. If you want to join whoever's fucking commentating, jump on there and just do what you want, right? And they're actually following, I think, a very flawed way of doing things in the way Sky have done it. So what Sky have done is they have a commentator, they have a co-commentator, which is usually Gary Neville. Then they have Carragher coming in from the outside. He's in a transit somewhere outside the stadium going, yeah, I think this, and it's awful. It's absolutely awful. Too many people. Three's a crowd. Just let two do it, right? And TNT have followed this model, but it felt like I genuinely thought I heard four voices when this was going on the other day, right? But then again, they've taken the context of what's gone on over the last couple of weeks with regards to Liverpool and Spurs, and have literally made they've definitely sat around the table and went, listen, we don't give a fuck what goes on in these games. We're going into this now, and we are going to make massive fucking gestures and shouty bits, right, about every decision Liverpool get now, because the narrative is going to be, regardless of if Michael Keane caught that ball, right? If he caught the fucking ball, right, and threw it into Jordan Pickford's hands, Ali McCoy would have went, well, what's the fucking problem? You know what I mean? And they're not commentating on what they're seeing. They're doing it on a narrative, and it's absolutely horrendous, right? And I don't stop at TNT, to be honest with you. I go through them all. I think I genuinely don't think there's a good football pundit out there anymore. And what I mean by that is, I despise Gary Neville, right? But I despise him as a player. I despise him now. But there was a period where I thought he was excellent on Sky. He was up in front of a big screen. He was showing you how defenders think, midfielders, managers, and he was giving his insight after 20 years of football, right? And he was excellent. Carragher was the same. Carragher didn't want to be a manager because he was a student of the game, and him being beside Neville was brilliant to go back and forward. And now they're all just banter merchants, right? That's all they are. They come in, they just, what do we say today? Oh, we'll say this, grand. Do you think it's right? Who gives a fuck? We get the clicks, we get the ads, everyone makes their few quid and they're off. But that on Saturday from 12:30 onwards was absolutely abysmal. And Robbie's right, Ali McCoy was excellent in the World Cup, because Ali McCoy watched the game, gave his thoughts on it, got emotional, got this, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And now he's arrived at TNT. And I knew this was coming because they done these quick fire questions at the start of the season. And they kind of, say it was 5 questions that he flashed between all these people, one of these reels they make or whatever. And every time it came to Ali McCoy, he was answering, I was going, he can't be fucking serious. This fella's a plant. And it proved on Saturday that he was an absolute plant, because the stuff he was coming out with, and Rio Ferdinand bailing in as if he was Bill Kenroyd's fucking nephew, was absolutely off the charts on Saturday. And Phil, honestly, they say that football is dying. They need to take a long, hard look at how they commentate on football and how they actually they're not meant to give opinion. They're meant to tell you what's going on in the game. That's what they're meant to do. They're meant to commentate on what's happening, not give you their opinion and their manifesto. But that's what it is now, a manifesto of wherever they feel like at any given game. And they should be all sacked, Phil. Just get rid of them, a whole lot of them. I'd rather genuinely watch it on mute. That's
so it. Just to put in there, sorry, Phil. I don't know if you saw the match the next day, the Chelsea Arsenal game, and Redknapp was disputing the penalty that Chelsea got with your man with the arm out, and he basically said, if that's a penalty, the game's gone. Absolutely ridiculous kind of carry on. But anyway, sorry, Phil.
No, you're absolutely fine, Robbie. In terms of what I'm looking at and what I see and what the issues I feel exists in the world of football punditry today is quite simple. It echoes a bit of what Gav says, but essentially they've taken the intelligence out of the analysis, right? There was a brief spell on BT's coverage where they took some of the best journalists that were covering the game.
Yes.
They put James Richardson in the studio, and they put some really intelligent footballers in there with them. When I say really intelligent, and talk about the likes of Vieira and stuff like that, who have more than an IQ in single digits to talk about the game, right? The problem that I find, particularly with BT or whatever they're called, look at the pundits. Robbie Savage, Joe Cole, Jolyon Lescott, Rio Ferdinand, Paul Scholes, Michael Owen, Steve McManaman. I don't know if I missed. Is Hargreaves still there?
Hargreaves,
Like,
I don't know.
Haven't seen it on the United on the Europe.
I'd like to think Hargreaves has done a YouTube video to show how good he is at it, and
but just
he's looking for a new
on
club.
that, Gav, think about it, right? Not one of them have any real coaching / management experience at the top level of the game. Yet you're asking these fellas to give you insight on what's going to happen in the game, how things are going to turn around in the game, right? And to try to explain what teams need to do this, or teams need to do this. At the moment, they're all just a bunch of wallflowers saying what they're seeing. They may as well just call it catchphrase, because they just say what they see, right? Like, if you go back to your Ali McCoist moment, he saw something in real time, didn't look at the replay or anything that was going on, and did a Mr. Chips and said what he saw. And then when he saw the replay, he doubled down because that's what he said, right? And that's the end of it. There's no insight. There's no intelligence. There's no, like, I used to love listening to Mourinho when he was part of the coverage, right? And as whether you like Mourinho or not, his insight and his level of ability to break down what was going on and where he imagined other teams would change or do something really brought something to what you're doing, because that's a fella who's had to deal with this in the real time, who's been in that situation as the manager of a team and has had to make those in-game changes and adjustments to react to the other team that's going on. When they had Benitez on for that brief time on Sky, his insight was brilliant. It put the other two in a box. It was like, you guys are junior infants, school going, first year and thing, and this fella is now in university lecturing you on astrophysics. The difference in the intelligence and the knowledge that was being shared as to why teams were doing this, why the manager was setting up, the opposite team was setting them up, trying to do this, trying to do that, trying to do this. So I think that we've gotten to a point in time where there's a belief in the TV companies that their football coverage has to be TikTok based, right? It has to be 5-second clips. It has to be bite-sized chunks, because if they don't have it like this, nobody will listen. What they've missed is that the real sports fan turns off their coverage, turns off their insight, turns off their analysis, does something else, and then comes back when the match starts, and then comes back to see the interviews maybe at the end of the game. And after that, that's it. I'm not listening to, like, when I don't know who these people are. I tell you what, right? The difference in different sports that aren't basically there as cash cows, which football is, where they actually have to get people who understand the game to explain the game to, say, passing viewers who may not be as big into the game or big into the sport that's there, to try explain what's going on and how you manage these things. And it's a much deeper level of analysis, so they can still give the guys who are competitors or playing at levels an insight, but they're also giving it for the people. That is a skill in itself, and these fellas aren't. They're just as you said it, they're just banter merchants. And by the way, it's not just whoever this lot are. Sky is the exact same. They removed all the intelligence. They got rid of Wenger, they got rid of Mourinho, they got rid of the guys, Benitez's, they've got rid of all those, and they replaced them with gone beans. And they replaced them with a series of gone beans, and they hold Carragher and Neville as these incredibly intelligent guys who've never managed. Neville did and failed miserably and got sacked. So who've never succeeded at managed it, never built a squad, never managed it in the current day.
But Phil, I don't even think it's down to the experience you have as a coach or a manager. What I'm saying to you is that if you ask me to go and sit and watch Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville stand in the studio with a big screen behind them, the touch screens, and they're talking about certain moves teams put together, how a defender defends, I'd sit and listen to that. And I have done over the years. I went, geez, I never thought about that. And like Michael Owen, people don't like Michael Owen, right, for various reasons, and they're all very valid. But when Michael Owen used to actually talk about what strikers are thinking, what their movement is, how they're trying to get across defenders, you look at it and you go, you know what, that's really good for, you might have a nephew that wants to be a forwarder. Watch that, listen to that, and they're trying to, I'm okay with that. I'm actually fine if Ali McCoist comes on and says, it was a good, great attack and play by Diaz, and he gets the ball in, that it hits the defender. Listen, this could go either way. Is his arm, and he's impartial to the situation, and he's basically saying it's hit his hand. His hand is out. What way will the referee think? Oh, I'm not too sure, or maybe it is. The rules of the game say I'm fine with that, right? I'm absolutely fine with that. If Rio Ferdinand comes on and says Brantwaite is having a really good game for Everton, what he's doing is he's closing space here, or he's dropping off there, I've no problem with that. But what I'm finding is I'm going on, and there's no point in Rio Ferdinand or Ali McCoist or any of these former players being there, because they're not there They're not there to give any experience they have in football. They are there because of their name to push a narrative. And that's all. And this is not only Liverpool based, by the way. Any football game you watch, you will know within 10 minutes who the co-com wants to win this game. Right? I watched Chelsea and Arsenal the other night, and Gary Neville was literally willing the ball in the goal for Arsenal. Right? Because I've realised now that what's happened with Gary Neville is he's supported Man City for the last 5 years because they're against Liverpool. And now he thinks that, you know, the next Phoenix from the Flames is Arsenal to go up against City. And the easiest thing to do now is support Arsenal because he doesn't have to support Man City. So he just picks whatever sides he needs to. And this is what I'm talking about. There's no, like you say, there's no intelligence in it. There's no insight in it. It's all just, they might as well, like someone said there, bring back fan zone. That's what they might as well do. Stick an Arsenal and an Everton fan beside fucking Peter Drury or whoever's commentating on TNT and just let them at it. Because that's literally what you have, except this fella's a former pro.
I'll tell you where this is going, Gav, and you can agree or disagree with me. What the ultimate culmination of this, I go back to the TikTok thing, is they're going to have the likes of Goldbridge and other fellas on the Soccer Saturday show on Sky, right, doing face to camera for next to nothing in comparison to what they have to pay an ex-pro to be sitting in the studio doing that, right? Because they can basically get that stuff for free and throw a few quid at them, and they might think they're getting a massive amount, but in comparison to what they have to pay an appearance fee to an ex-pro, and that's what people will watch.
But you mentioned Mark Goldbridge there. Mark Goldbridge does, he's been on the podcast a couple of times with Ben Foster, right? Mm-hmm. Now, Mark Goldbridge is a Man United fan, does that Man United channel. He's extremely successful, right?
As a first fan,
yeah. But when you actually listen to him, when you take him away from the Man United side of things, and you watch his, I think it's called That's Football is his other one. But if you watch that, or you watch him on Ben Foster, he speaks very well about the game. Because what he does is, he looks at the situation and he says, like he constantly goes on about, Salah doesn't get the recognition he deserves. Like, this fella is world class, and people just think he's an L winger that gets a few goals. Like, but I would have more. Like, what you should be doing is sitting down and going, Mark Goldbridge is saying that, right? Which is absolutely fine. But the fella that played probably against Salah at some stage or knows him personally and is a former player is sitting on the other channel going on like he's like, you know, don't worry about what's going on in the game. I'm just going to shout about what we need to make the most controversial. That's what it is.
But remember, it's just there, as I said to you, it's the TikTok 5-second generation. It's there to grab clicks and baits. It's there to do little promos. Well, you were talking about Ali McCoy's there giving it the socks that should have been sent off. That's, I'm sure, was chopped, clipped and stuck onto the BT Sport, TNT Sport, whatever feed it is, and put out there for as the highlights of the weekend. How did that not happen with it something? So as people go and look at it. Well, that's all it is. And that's what they want them to do. And they're all happy to set out for doing that. So going back to your point about it's disgusting. I'm gonna go there. I gotta go there, Bill. This is disgusting. Football journalism and punditry's gone down the tubes. They're all a bunch of clowns. Get them out. Get them out, I say. Bring back the real boys.
That's it.
You're making a joke. But you're making a joke of that. But that's what it shook her back. No, what I mean is you're doing the Dunphy thing. But what I'm saying is it shook her back to that. I have no problem with a guy having a personality. But don't come in and just like literally sit down on the side before a ball is kicked that I'm going to be on this side. And no matter what happens in this game, I'm just going to deny everything. Do you know the sort of way? It's just mad. And to be honest with you, you talk about people from YouTube and going on, they're more value because they're actually truer to themselves than the ex-pros sitting there running a narrative for a TV station.
That's what I want to say, Gav. One of the things is that it shouldn't be looked down on, right?
No.
There's a lot of guys who are coaches and have coached the top levels of the game who are trying to explain the patterns of play and what coaches are trying to do and what coaching setup is there. It's very intelligent stuff that's going on that you aren't getting. And there's a big audience. What they're missing is there's a big audience for that level of analysis. It doesn't have to be so... Colour commentary and post-match analysis was to add the insight that you can't get, right, when you're watching it, necessarily be aware, and that's why you brought those guys in, and that's really what commentary and post-match analysis is about. Nowadays, it's nothing to do with that. It's just about expanding clicks and all that type of stuff, and it's disgusting. As I said, it is disgusting. It's in the bin. If we had a bin, we should probably get a flaming bin, Gav, and stick it in the bin on a Monday night and just
I'll
say
in the flaming bin for next week.
Flaming bin for next week. An actual really flaming bin that we throw stuff into.
Do you want me to light a bin on fire in the room here and start throwing stuff into it next week?
Yeah. If you can, that would
Before
be
we
great.
finish on this, lads, you forgot the one name, which I think who should be in the bin, Phil. You forgot Jermaine Jenas. I'll leave it at that.
He's just, you see,
He wasn't even a footballer. You have to play more than 10 games to be a footballer. The same issues with Naby Keita. He can never be a pundit because he wasn't an ex-footballer.
But Jermaine Jenas a couple of weeks ago was given it the big one about respect to referees, and then absolutely lost at our referee on some coverage. You know what I mean? And then you go across like the Talksport and you have Agbon Lahore and all, and it's just off the charts mental. But that's not even in the same. I don't even consider that in the stratosphere of BT and Sky, to be fairly honest with you.
Now, moving on. The next topic on our list is Gav's topic. Yeah, goalkeeper bingo, the newest way to try to be clever. I'm interested in this, right? Because I have no idea what you're talking about. So this is why it's going to be interesting. And you said goalkeeper, and for me, there's two interesting things. If there was a pundit or a topic, I'd be going, that's interesting. I'm listening. You've got my ears.
Well, the thing is, like, I go back to the Chelsea Arsenal game at the weekend, and I just find what some clubs are trying to do with their goal-keeping situation is madness. Absolute madness. And I had a couple of topics in my head, but you're hosting, you were a goalkeeper, so I said I'd bring it on, and you'll probably tell me I'm talking nonsense, right? And that's absolutely fine. I get told I'm talking nonsense most days.
Do clickbait.
Right. But the thing is, right? Like, I'm looking at Chelsea and Arsenal, right? And I'm watching the game. And Chelsea have a guy in goal, Sanchez, right? I think he might be at Brighton, right? I'm not too sure.
At Brighton. He spent a lot of money.
Yeah, turns up at Chelsea. Now, Chelsea have got rid of Kepa, right, on loan to supposedly fund the wages for Soicedo at the time. They've got rid of the other guy who was meant to be the best goalkeeper in the world 6 months ago.
That's why Saudi Arabia spent 47,000 million on him.
Right, so he's gone, right?
Yep.
And they brought in this guy, right? And he's no better. He's absolutely no better. And the thing is, they have it in their head that he's better at things that he doesn't need to be better at, like kicking the ball and passing the ball, right? They're obsessed with this stuff. They either have it or they fucking don't, right? Then you get down the other end of the pitch, and this Raya fella is in goal, right? Now, I watched this fella Raya, first time I've ever watched him. When Arsenal played City, they won 1-0. But when I say they were all over the shop, right? And City were abysmal at capitalising on this. But this guy, Raya, was getting the ball at his feet, and it was like it was, a fucking UFO at his feet, an alien object. He was like, what is going on here? What is this thing at my feet, and what am I meant to do with it? And it continuously happened for 20 minutes at the Emirates. He hit it off Alvarez, and it nearly went in the net. He passed it out, played, I don't know how many times. He kicked it straight to Man City players. And I'm looking going, I think Arteta's trying to be too clever here in what he's trying to do. Remember, they signed him late enough in the window. I think they signed him on loan with an option to buy. That's to do with FFP. But they've taken this decision that they're bringing this fella in. Now, if you bring him in as a second goalkeeper, you go, Grant, they're covering their arse, a second goalkeeper. But this fella has played nearly, I think, every game since he's come in. There might have been one he hasn't, but he's played the vast majority. And I'm looking at a Phil, and I'm saying to myself, why are they doing this to themselves? Now, I know we can sit on our high horses with Alisson Becker in goal, who's the best goalkeeper probably of his generation, right? I mean, in 20 years' time, we'd be saying that to ourselves. But when I look at it, I think to myself, Arteta, Arsenal last season. Arsenal didn't lose a league title last season because predominantly of their goalkeeper. Simple as that. Now, you can rate Ramsdale or you can't rate Ramsdale. That's absolutely fine. But they did not lose a league title because of Ramsdale, Harry Ramsden, Harry whatever we call him, right? We've loads of names from, right? They didn't lose it because of him. They lost it because they had about 14 players in total that they could rely on, and the rest were all young fellas or weren't good enough, and it caught up in them in the end. Chelsea have just literally got rid of two fellas and brought in a fella that's like literally can't pass the fucking ball, right? He's all over the place, right? Doesn't react to anything, doesn't do anything. And this is why I call the goalkeeper bingo, because there seems to be an obsession creeping into the game now where your goalkeeper literally has to be a midfielder with gloves on. and most of them aren't. But they keep persisting with this because they're trying to be too clever. I don't know what your thoughts are on Ramsdale, Sanchez, Raya, but I just think if I'm Arsenal, I'm looking at other areas of the pitch to get us better than last season. And if I'm Chelsea, one, you've got rid of two that are probably as good as this fella, and two, all the money they spent and they've ended up with this fella. I just think it's mad, and I'm watching it, and I think it's going to continue. I think it's going to continue with more clubs going down this route where just be a goalkeeper. And if you happen to be good with your feet, great. Your job is to keep the ball out of the fucking net. The other 10 fellas play football. You don't. I just think it's absolutely off the wall.
Robbie, do you want to go there before I jump in?
I agree a lot with what Gav was saying. When this first kind of when Arteta started to talk about changing goalkeepers during a match and stuff, I just thought Arteta was trying to be a bit of a Guardiola and was overthinking it. And I'm a genius thinking about these things. But I don't understand. I don't understand the Chelsea thing. It makes no sense to me. And I was trying to think back, and obviously we, being Liverpool fans, we had the Dudek and Chris Kirkland situation, which personally I've no proof for. I think that was an administration mistake anyway. I think we fucked up some way. We were in for both of them, and we ended up on the last day getting the two of them, which didn't make any sense. Because I don't know, Phil, you're a goalkeeper. My thought on that was, anytime one of them fucks up, they know the other guy is there waiting to take over, who's just as good as him. I thought maybe it would affect the keeper mentally. I think you need to give a keeper a number of games to get into the rhythm of a new team and whatnot. Having someone who is equally as good on the bench, he's not really an understudy. He's as good as you. That surely puts extra pressure on a goalkeeper. So I know it's slightly, I know Houllier. There's no way Houllier would have substituted, Kirkland for the Polish, for Dudek during a match or anything like that. But that's the only situation I can think of. It doesn't make sense to me either. It really doesn't. But again, I think Arteta was talking out of his hole. Really, he's never going to substitute a keeper halfway through a match. But whatever. I think he's bullshitter. I'll leave it to you, Phil. I don't know what you think about that.
So, here's the thing. I actually get why Arteta binned Ramsdale, because he's not good enough to win a league title. Right? The problem you have with this is, think about all the teams that have won a league title over the years, right? And think of the level of the goalkeepers. Very few have had a goalkeeper that was crap, right? And that couldn't save shots. Let's be honest about this, right? Ramsdale has a dose of the English goalkeeperitis. I keep saying this. They keep producing the same goalkeeper over and over and over again. And it doesn't matter. You could take the heads off and swap the heads around like Lego men, and they'd all play the exact same way. Pickford is the same as Ramsdale, is the same as Pope, is the same as whatever generic English goalkeeper that's been designed out of the Joe Hart molds that they've kept out the back garden, because they're all the same. Every goalkeeper that's come since Joe Hart that's English is the same as Joe Hart. You can break it down whatever way you want. That's what they are, right? So he's gone after Raya because they believe that you need to be able to do more than just be a goalkeeper. And Raya was excellent for Brentford last year. Genuinely was absolutely excellent for Brentford last year. And I could understand why they went after him. They wanted to get them right the way through the window, but ended up doing it on loan for FFP reasons. Why do they care about FFP? Nobody else in the whole world cares about FFP, but for some reason they think the Premier League will do something to them, which they won't. It's been proven. Everton can spend 100 billions of whatever money they don't have.
Well, that hearing's coming this week.
Yeah, allegedly. They're hearing it, but they're not going to give out any results for a while because they have to consider the results before they give out the results, right? So, but like Arsenal have had the same goalkeeper, bought the same goalkeeper now about 6 times in a row. They've bought Leno. He's the exact same as Ramsdale, who was the exact same as Raya, who's the exact same as your man Martinez, they got rid of as well, who's the exact same as Almunia, who's the exact same as Fabianski, who's the exact same as everything, right the way back to your man, the Mad German fella, who was actually decent and they won a league title with. But it's the same goalkeeper. It's
all Czech was in there as well.
Yeah, wearing a rugby helmet. He was finished at that stage,
But
right?
the thing with Czech was he was finished because they brought him in and went, listen, you've never played football in your life, even at Chelsea. But listen, we want you to start passing out from the back. And
but back to your point in terms of the goalkeeper, bingo, right? Like this is where they're trying to get to that level. But I think what they've missed critically, only because I know this, because Liverpool have done the exact same thing as this for donkeys. We did Friedel, we did David James, we did Chris Corkland, we did Westerveld, we did Scott Carson, we did Dudek, we did Reina, we did Cavalieri, we did Marco, what was his name? The chap who had the heart attack, who had to retire over it, right? We had Bogdan, we had Bad, Jones, we had like this is what I'm talking about, right? So we eventually get to a point where we just gave up and realised that all the goalkeepers we kept signing were the same, and we put Pancake Chucky Boutio in goal for us for a long time, right, until Alisson signs. And it's like we'd Pancake, and then we had the fella who had concussion before he even got, when he went on holidays to Hollywood, right? Yeah. So this is the problem. Unless you are prepared to spend an inordinate amount of money, right, on actual true talent, a la an Alisson or an Ederson, right, and not just buy it on a flavour of the want, like your man Onana, who again, Onana should be in the list of goalkeepers that can't play in goal. You just keep going. You just keep going around in this circle where the improvements you get will only end up being marginal, because over the longer span of time they end up looking like the same player that they've just replaced. So that's where I come to with this whole thing. Unless you get a true upgrade, and it's very hard to have a true upgrade, it's just incredible that when you talk about, like, if you took Roya's head off, Gav, and put Ramsdale's head on. If you take Kepa's head off and put Sanchez's head on, if you take, do you know what I mean? Like, it's the same goalkeeper. You're buying at this level, which is just below that true top end. But to sign that true top end, you're not spending 30 million or 40 million. You're spending 75, 80 million. But what I think the managers miss sometimes is that goalkeeper, and we know it from having Alisson, is the thing that takes you from here in the league to up here in the league. Takes you from that position, right? Can get you from being a top 6 team to a top 4 team, from a top 4 team to league challengers, league winners, right? Yeah. Like, look at Alisson for us. Look what he's been doing for the best part of 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Look at, and I know Ederson, I'm the same as well with Ederson in terms of, like, as much as I think Alisson's a better goalkeeper, look at the difference. Because City were on this roundabout. Claudio Bravo, Joe Hart, whatever random fellas that they signed, all these fellas. They had the Baldy fella. Do you remember they had the Baldy fella they signed from Mallorca? They have the Scott Carson. Scott Carson is a trend. We should actually set this up as a thread from the 2005 Champions League final to now, right? And Scott Carson is there all the time.
He's still at City winning.
Still at City. Yeah, 49, and he's still at City winning medals, and he's still got his Liverpool kit on him as well. I'm impressed with. Fair play to Scott Carson. But like, again, it's that little bit of a difference. Like, PSG went out and signed Donnarumma because they believe that, again, he's going to make a big difference to them getting over the hump when it comes to the Champions League. Bayern Munich, they've always had the best German goalkeeper you possibly could have in the middle of the team, because they know what it brings and they know what it allows them to do. You look to Spain and look at the amount of money Real Madrid have spent on goalkeepers. Barcelona have Ter Stegen, who was off the charts. But if you aspire to get there, that's what you need to do. And signing these fellas who aren't truly that level, or may go to that level but aren't at that level, that's where you're taking those lottery picks all the time. And it's, for goalkeepers, it's very different, because the mentality of the game is, if you're a centre midfielder, look at Caicedo. He goes to Chelsea, has a terrible game, load of terrible games, gets dropped, gets put back in, gets dropped back. That doesn't happen with goalkeepers. You know what I mean? Ramsdale is already talking, he has a deal in place that if your man has X amount of brutal games, he goes back into the team. Look, what does that say to any of the goalkeepers that are playing in that position? It just takes away that truth. I remember when Reina was there, he was arguably our best goalkeeper from Bruce Grobbler through to Alisson, right? Correct. In terms of what was there for the few seasons now, he dropped off a cliff terribly in terms of form from 2009 probably through to when he leaves, right? But do you remember when he came in at first, he went through a dodgy spell, and Rafa said, "There's no question mark here. He has 10 games. There's 10 games. I'm not going to make any decisions about him for another 10 games." because he needs to sort things out in terms of what it is, and I'm confident he's going to get there. That's what the likes of Raya needs to hear. That's what the likes of Sanchez needs to hear. That's what, do you know what I mean? There's a time limit, but you are my man, and I am 100% backing you. There's no even consideration to anything that goes on.
Yeah,
now,
but then he's either. But then if you take the Arsenal one, right, then he's either doing that, right, and telling Ray you're in, right. But I don't think he is, because it's kind of out in the media that like I think he's two great goalkeepers and he can switch them wherever he wants, right. But the other thing is, I'm looking at this Ray fella and I'm saying to myself, does he look more secure than Ramsdale? The answer is no, right. Is he better with his feet? Well, I don't know. How much football did he actually play with Brentford is the question, right? And maybe he did play a lot of football with Brentford. I don't think so, but he may have, right? And maybe he did. I don't think Brentford play an awful lot from the back. Maybe they did. I don't watch an awful lot of them. But all I'm saying is that when I look at it, right, just the evidence of what you see is like, this guy, is he a better shot stopper than Ramsdale? Possibly, right? But he's probably having to save more shots than Ramsdale because he continuously gives the fucking ball away. And the reason you're bringing him in is definitely that he's better with his feet. It's 100% why he's brought Ray in, because he's better. He's a better footballer, and he can play us out, and we can play from here. Watch the Man City game and watch that Chelsea game. He is all over the place. Now, if he's being told, don't worry about it, that's even more worrying, because he's still nervous if he's being told you've 10 games, 12, 15 games. If he hasn't been told that, it's awful management, and again, it's trying to be too clever. And that's my whole point of it. United let the Hale go and bring in this Onana fella. And people were showing clips of Onana doing fucking cry turns in the middle of the pitch and all. And people were like, look at this. And I was like, yeah, but can he save any shots? Right? And then the first 7 games of the season, I think he had 12 shots on target against them, conceded 7 or 8. And I'm like, he's meant to stop the shots, lads. Why are you trying to be this fucking clever over things? Why have we turned goalkeepers into fucking Glenn Hoddle? There's no need
But that's because the game has changed. And you can't discount that fact, right? But
I
this
get the game's changed, Phil, but you can't just decide this fella's really good with his feet, but he's little fucking T-Rex Jordan Pickford arms. But look, he's good with his feet. Like it's nearly the most important thing now, Phil.
But Gav, you look at Onana. He was rated as one of the best shot stoppers in Europe last season. I know you mightn't believe this, right? He was seen as.
It must have been in training.
No, this was in the Champions League games that he played in, and he was seen as the next big thing in goalkeeping, and he's going to be one there that challenges this and that and does all this. But we've seen this. I go back to when we signed Alisson, we weren't signing the fella straight off the bus from Brazil. Do you know what I mean? We were signing the fella who'd been to the Champions League semi-final, and we've seen him perform for Roma through that Champions League. He'd proven his worth to get to the point of where he was. And when they signed him, there wasn't a single one of us at the time that didn't think that this was a brilliant signing. Do you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't one of us. The question was, Jesus, could we've got maybe Manuel Neuer for that price if you're going to lash out 65 million on a goalkeeper or something like that? You know, but that's but that's the level you're talking about. That was the true level you're talking about when you're signing him. When City signed Ederson, that was the one that started about who was Ederson? You know, like, I'd never seen him play until he turned up in the Premier League. And then when you saw him there, you're going, right. But then again, he had the pedigree from playing in the Champions League and proving his worth and doing exactly what Guardiola wanted him to do. So when I look at this is the evolution of why our top goalkeepers are going to go. But there's a point where you say, okay, if we're not at that point in the evolution, if we're not at the point where we're going to challenge for league titles and Champions League titles and this and this and this and this and this, I don't need the fella who can play centre mid as good as he can play in goal. I need the fella who can stop the ball going into the top corner until I get to the point where I am able to challenge for this and this and this and this and this and this, because it's one of the few positions on the pitch that is not for debate when it comes to winning the top end of titles. You go back to your Chelsea teams, go back to your Arsenal teams that dominated, go back to the United teams that dominated. Very few of them have bad goalkeepers. United's best run after Schmeichel probably comes with Van der Sar.
Yeah,
and he was imperious in goal for them. Imperious in goal for them. Let's be honest about it.
But I know the way it's the evolution of football and stuff like that. But I'm just and down the line, Ray, I might prove to be, a better fit than Ray. But I'm looking at it, I'm saying to myself, lads, you're trying to be clever. You're trying to bring in goalkeepers that are good with their feet, And I'm watching him in the last 2 games, and he's literally not good with his feet, right? And he's causing you to lose chances. Do you know what I mean?
That can be confidence. That can be confidence. Let's be honest about it.
That's down to the manager. If he has told him, like you said, you've 10, 15, don't worry about the amount of games. I just think we're getting to the stage where clubs are making. I'm not saying bring a fella in that can't kick snow off a rope. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, like, how much football do goalkeepers actually play? Very fucking little when you think about it. Because they're allowed to have their centre half stand beside them now on goal kicks. They can just tap it to him, and all they do is play square balls. That's all they do. That's all they really do. Ederson, Alisson, and a couple of others can spray a ball here, there, and everywhere, right? But having said that, they get an awful lot more time on the ball.
I'd even argue that Alisson's distribution isn't at the like this elite, amazing level. I wouldn't.
I'd agree.
Distribution is excellent, but it's not at the level of, say, Ederson's in terms of what it is. But he doesn't need to be, because what he does is off the charts brilliant in everything else that he's doing.
Because when you're talking about Ederson's highlights, you're talking about looking at him pinging this, pinging that, and pinging that, right? And when you're looking at Alisson's highlight, you're looking at look at that save, look at that save, look at that save. Now I know which one I'm taking, right?
Look at that goal.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So exactly. Look at the header. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I think there's 2, possibly 3 clubs that are big clubs, and they've gone a weird way around this goalkeeping situation. And I think they're actually the priority for them in what a goalkeeper can do has been completely lost for me. And you're actually seeing fellas that aren't amazing in goal and are meant to be great with their feet, and they're not. Simple as that, they're not.
I don't disagree, and we'll keep going on with goalkeeper bingo, because the one thing that's going to happen with goalkeeper bingo is it's not going to stop. That's the great thing about it. It's like this just passes from club to club to club to club to club. So it's just eventually you get a great one. You keep him for ages, and the goalkeeper bingo moves on to the next club as they go. Do you know what? That was a good thing. Do you see the way they kept picking loads of goalkeepers and buying loads of goalkeepers, and none of them were good enough? I think we should do that. That's a great idea. Let's do that. Let's jump on board that train. That sounds great. Right, on to my topic. So this jumped out at me, and this is because I don't watch commentary and post-match analysis and stuff like this. So this is an amazing thing. I saw somebody retweet a clip of the brilliance of Eric Cantona in the Premier League in 1990, right? And then I saw another one of Luis Garcia scoring a goal against Charlton in 2006, I think it was, right?
Right footed into the top corner of the Kop.
Absolutely amazing strike, right? Then I watched a bit of a game from the worst era of Liverpool history of all time, when Gerard Houllier was manager in 2002, 2003, right? Around that time.
Second in the league.
Because I was getting fascinated at this, because this, you know the way I go, oh, what's this? And then start rabbit holing what's going on in terms of it. So I went back and I watched a bit of games. Now, not whole matches. I wouldn't be into this watching things like video evidence and stuff like this. No. This is just get a clip here and start looking for maybe 10, 15 minutes to see what was going on. Just random games through the 90s and through the 90s. It's a different sport. So I always think back to my favourite World Cup of all time is the 1986 World Cup, and if you watch it, there's so much just standing around. Like, there's literally just lads standing around for a bit, having a breather, right? They didn't need to have water breaks because they were taking breaks every 5 minutes on the ball.
They were smoking on the pitch and everything.
Like, there was altitude and everything. The lads were going, here, we're not running after this ball, right?
The 86 World Cup was like if you go and watch like an under 10 or 11's GA match. Right,
this is what,
and there's just kids standing up the other end of the pitch yapping away to each other, and how's it going, and fucking, that's what it was like, yeah. And then it's like, oh fuck, I better move a bit here.
So then I was going, are we missing something here? So then I said, right, I'll watch to my detriment, watch some of the United games, because they were perceived as an incredibly fast team. Right, and if you think of what Ferguson was, there was this quick pass and counter-attacking side that destroyed teams. So I watched a bit of that and I was like, that's shite, right? And then I said, right, hang on, maybe I'm missing something. Then I watched Wenger's teams and the proper Arsenal teams from that early 90s period, right, when they got to the Champions League finals and not winning any of them. And then I was like going, the game has changed so much in terms of speed of product that's on the television in comparison to what it was 10 years ago. I'll go as far as the Hodgson era at Liverpool, right? The speed has changed immensely. I'm even going back 5-6 years in terms of what's there. it's unbelievable. Like from about 2015 onwards, there's been this injection of pace, and it's not just the Premier League. I was thinking maybe it's just the Premier League. It's not. It's across Europe. It's like they all came up, maybe with the exception of the Italian teams, even still. But you look at those Barcelona teams, the Real Madrid teams. Look at Paris. Look at the speed they play football at. They're not. There's no dwelling. This idea of they sit there and they tactically see each other out and they put. That doesn't have. It's all vertical. It's controlled, vertical, setting up presses, setting up setting up counterattacks. But the ball is moving. The worst teams nowadays would be the equivalent of absolute worldies back then. And I'll go to the point, right? The only team that I can think that would live with any of the teams nowadays, straight up, is the Frank Rijkaard Barcelona teams. It's the only team that I'm looking at going, do you know, that team itself, with the skill level that was in it and the speed that they played the game, because that's just before Guardiola takes over and starts doing ticky-tacky football. If you go back and watch some of those games...
I think Milan in the mid-90s, early mid-90s, they had power. They did a lot of power in their team.
No pace, Gav. Go back and watch. It's shocking. It's absolute. I was.
Maybe I need to go back and watch it. But I know you're coming from.
Just to get, I checked some of the Middlesbrough games as well, just to be on the safe side, because especially when Ravanelli was there and Janino and Robson and El Teo were standing on the sidelines, just because they had the
greatest comic duo of all time, and Robson.
But you watch it's just so the Cantona thing to me was like a comedy sketch. And
is it the one where he scores against Sunderland where he's just like going around? It's like he's playing Pro Evo on amateur level.
And a fella falls over randomly in front of him.
Yeah, and he's just going along the pitch as if like he's big. It's like if you replace the ball with a dog on a leash, it'd be like, you know, when you're walking in the park and you're going left and right, and then he just kicks her over the goalkeeper. Yeah, I know where you're going. I know where you're going with this.
But as well, like you've got the likes of, you mentioned earlier on, Gav, about this, you know, the goalkeeper taps it to the full back, and then whatever they start playing triangles around. Like, you're right, Phil. I'd be amazed. Like you've lads like, you know, Dunk and Brighton, and you're like this big grok of a lad, and he's playing triangles around the park, like, you know, between the midfield, and then he goes back to the keeper and plays another triangle, and you're going, that didn't happen. It's I don't know whether it's the whole pressing, the gegenpressing thing that's come in the last few years as well. Plus, in the 90s, the lads were wearing shorts like sails, the big fucking long sleeves and sails and stuff, whereas they're all got the tight shorts on now, and they all look more athletic, and they probably are a lot more athletic than the early 2000s or whatever. But I think it's amazing. You know, I'd be amazed that when I see some of the players and how they're getting away with these little triangles and that they're going up the field. The technique must have, I don't know, the coaching and the technique must be. It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. Yeah, it is.
And I normally, like, I love watching old football in general. I'd love to sit down and watch like a tournament or something that was played, or you know, reeling in the years of Premier League years or whatever it is, or the Champions League of something, and looking at it. But then if you actually step back and watch the game and watch what they're showing you, the gaps on the pitch are monumental. Like, you look at now, everything is compressed and it's so hard to find space. And I'm looking at, so you go back to the Rafa time and we were thinking, this is amazing. Look at the way this team is pressed up the pitch.
Well, Rory has a belter for you. He says, watch the Karl Heinz Riedler lob against Leeds at Ellen Road around 97, 8. And he says, watch the gap between midfield and defence when he receives the ball, and it's huge. Such a difference today. And he's actually spot on, because Riedler gets this ball, he's the forward, right? And he's about 45 yards from goal, and Leeds' defence are just standing on the edge of the 18-yard line waiting for him to get there. It's mad. Rory's bang on there.
It's genuinely right. I think it's fascinating when you start going, but when you start looking at the other leagues, where typically they were seen as fast, and now you look at just the speed of everything, it's frightening. I think you're right, Robbie. I think like the kids now are being coached a lot better, right? There's less maverick enigma geniuses who are just special and just talents, right? But there's a lot more the skills, the core skills and the capabilities of these players coming out. They know how to move the ball so quickly. Their touch, their control, their pass. It's just it's incredible to watch younger kids play football nowadays, because they do things that you'd only pick up when you're into your late teens, early 20s, and that's just part of what they learn. The comfortableness to be able to turn on the ball, move the ball, spin it, play it, and all that type of stuff outside the Premier League is just amazing. And it shows up. I think the speed is starting to show up all these other glaring issues. When we talk about the likes of VAR and refereeing, they just aren't up to the pace. They're up to the pace of what the game was in the early to mid noughties, right? They haven't changed the professionalism. Look at the body shapes of the referees. They're nowhere near what those players are, but they should be, because they need to be covering the pitch as much as the players are, right? So when you look at the speed of what's moving along, there so many times you see the referees not in the right place to be able to make a decision because they can't keep up the play. It moves so quickly, and that didn't happen in the 90s. When I go back, when I said to you, when I looked at that United team, and you look at their world, their amazing counter attack and stuff, and you actually look at the speed of it, and you go, those lads wouldn't even be third division these days. Like, honest to God.
Well, there's a couple of reasons behind it. Like, Impartial Tick 56 says, maybe diet and conditions help them make the game much quicker. Yeah, that's definitely part of it. Yeah. I think the pitches over the last 20 years, even the last 10 years has made the game quicker because they're just slicker surfaces. You know, I think they're 2/3 like fucking, they're not even grass, they're 2/3 synthetic now. So it just zips along. And then it's whatever's in style as well. Because, like, I always remember that AC Milan side. When you look at, even if you go back to look at Liverpool in '88, Liverpool in '88 were so good because they could deal with all these shy pitches. They still played football. They could pass it around you, but they'd mill you on the break. They'd get into a fight with you, and they were a great side. And then when you look at the likes of, for me, Milan, 93, 94 Milan, power. It was all about power. It was all about being really fucking organised, but they had power and they were clinical. And then you come into the 2000s, and then I think Wenger's huge for English football because he comes in and says, lads, will you stop fucking smoking and will you stop going on the cans, right? And if you listen to any of the old school Arsenal lads, like, they'll tell you Vieira, Petit, all these Pires that come in, they were like, what the fuck is going on here? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And all the boys were going out every Tuesday and going on the lash, you know? And he definitely makes a change to things. Do you know what I mean? And even like not just Wenger. You look at I remember someone, I don't know what podcast it was, but they were talking about the Canio, and the Canio rocks up at West Ham after being at Sheffield Wednesday and whatever else, and he rocks up at West Ham with his own nutritionist. Just walks in the door with his own nutritionist and just says, "I'm not eating all this shit you're eating. You know, I eat this. This is what I do." And so many of the West Ham players went, he's mad. But it came around, you know, the sort of way. And these things, they do evolve. And then you hit 2010, 11 and Guardiola, where the game slows for me. The game slows into a very game of chess, and we'll make, instead of going up that pitch in 5 passes, we'll do it in 15, we'll do it in 20. And we didn't have to be, the game didn't have to be 90 miles an hour. It wasn't as compact. It was a bit more of a stretched game because, you know, they wanted to find spaces and stuff like that. And then you go again. And I think you come into the Ronaldo era for me, because Ronaldo was just blistering. Do you know what I mean? If you look at him, how fast he was. And Cristiano Ronaldo, I mean, he's so fast. And then the pace came back into it again. But right now, if you sit in a Premier League stadium, any of them, and watch a Premier League game of football, like, you are looking, going, the fucking speed this is being played at. And and you'll see things like a fella will misplace a pass, and I know I was sitting at home watching it going, what the fuck are you doing there? But when you're in the ground, you're like, lads, that was lamped at him at about 80 mile an hour. Do you know what I mean? And he's literally put it 6 inches in the wrong direction. And it's getting to the stage now where, like someone mentioned in the chat there, Gakpo, if on the Liverpool side of things, you look at Gakpo, you look at Gravenberch, you even look at Nunez now. They're so technically good, but they're big, strong lads, and they're just specimens. But they can go at a million mile an hour. Szoboszlai can go just at thundering power, but he has all the technicals to go with it. Do you know what I mean? So the speed of the game has definitely come in. I think there's different elements to it, nutrition, outlook, and how we might end up sitting here in 5 years going, this game's slowed down again.
Yeah.
You know? Because someone will come up with a new formation and they won't play triangles anymore. They'll be trying to, you know, play directly from the back up to the front. I'm not saying lobbing it, but fizzing passes in and then we play from there.
You say that, but it keeps getting faster, right? So this is my point is, right? So you go back and you watch the 70s, you know, the videos of the 70s Brazil team, which was just the most incredible show on earth when it came to football. And you look at it, and it looks like a group of lads who are playing a friendly, having quick football, right? rolling around, and the other team sort of trying to take up a position to mark where the ball is going to. And then you move on. This is my point. It just keeps getting faster. Liverpool were incredibly fast at playing football, and they brought this really fast, powerful, run all over you football to Europe in the 80s. Okay, and that's where you go to. And the saddest thing to this day would be the fact that the 87-88 Liverpool team and the speed it played at the time never got to do this in Europe, because it would have been amazing to see what the then Milan cerebral Arrigo Sacchi team looked like against that Kenny Dalglish powerhouse of a team that was there, right? But yeah, it just keeps getting fat. Anytime I see the highlights now, when you see that Luis Garcia one, there's defenders like that nowadays will be over to close the shot down and would to do it, right? But he gets the ball. It was the number of touches, Gav. That's what it was. And at the time, like, football had speeded up at this stage, so it's not like this is slow football, right? I think he gets to take 3 touches before getting the shot away. But when you look at it, the touches aren't like, you know the way you see Mo take 3 touches and it's like bang, 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 and then it's something that's happening in terms of what it is. This was like touch, and this one is to set it up, and then I get my shot away, and there's nobody. Oh, this is insane! This is insane! This only happened less than 20 years ago. How did that happen? Like, how has it gotten that quick? And it's like, I just think if it gets quicker, I don't know how you even ref the game at that point in time.
I think the protection of players has made it quicker as well, because it's very easy to slow a game down by just lifting someone over. And I think Chris Golden says it there. The days of like Razor Ruddock and all just lamping you over are kind of over. So, you know, a game will naturally speed up because of that, because players can't have more protection and, you know, can't be just lifted over to stop a game. But honestly, I think I don't know what Robbie thinks. I think we could be sitting here in 3-5 years' time going, this is slowed down again. This is turned into, you know, teams will get more afraid of losing again, and will start sitting off. And you know, I don't think the game's moving up the pitch as quick. You know, I don't think the speed of it moving up the pitch is gotten any quicker. I just think the speed of what they're doing is quicker. Do you know what I mean? But the speed but what I'm saying is the speed of what they're doing doesn't automatically get them 50 yards up the pitch. It just keeps the ball in certain areas, but it's pinged around. You know, the sort of way.
Yeah. But even look at the amount of long shots, goals scored from outside the box and all is decreased. I'm sure I don't have the stats, but it's a much rarer thing now than it used to be. Like on Saturday, I think we 13, 14 shots from outside the box. I hadn't seen that at Anfield for years. I thought, you know what I mean? It's all pass, quick.
Pull back.
You know, again, it will take some the next Klopp or the next Mourinho or the next Benitez to tweak things, figure something out. Again, as we mentioned the 88 or the 86 World Cup, the 82 World Cup in Spain, 86 quite open, 90 it went the other way. You know, things have a bit of a, but I think the trend, you know, the graph is definitely going up and up. You know, things might slow down a bit, but they'll be still much faster than they were in 2000 or 2010. You know,
it is. So there we go. So right, quick fire round. Okay, Gav, I'm going to start this one off. Right, I want to say one of my favourite things I saw at the weekend was Andy Carroll's left-footed half volley from just inside the D over the goalkeeper, playing for Amiens or Ariols or whatever they're called, the French second division.
Is that where he is now?
Yeah, the defender comes out and knocks the clearance down, and Andy Carroll coming steaming like the car horse that he is with this beautiful cushioned lob from just inside the D of his own half. Outrageous, absolutely outrageous. I have to go and check it. Just type in Carroll and you'll find him, right? Because you can't miss it. But it's outrageous. Right. And it's just, the thing about Andy Carroll is the player he could have been.
Yeah.
Do you know, every time you see something like that, you can see the skill, you could see the technical capability. Doesn't have the pace though. That's where he lets himself down in these games.
I'm going to watch that. I didn't know Andy Carroll was playing for Amiens, is it, in France?
Go watch it.
I think that move to Liverpool kind of was too soon, and I think it wrecked his head as well because he was so settled in Newcastle.
Yeah, he didn't want to go. Wasn't your man minding him? Your man, Kev
Yes,
Nolan.
that's right. Yeah,
Kev Nolan
you have to put him on the helicopter.
He was under house arrest with Kev Nolan. He was for months, and then
You don't
Kev
wanna
Nolan was like,
go,
"Come on,
you
we're
don't wanna
going out
go.
now." And then, "Come on, Andy." And then when he went out, he was in a bleeding helicopter on the way. And he was flying over the bleeding the TV or the radio tower, Radio City. And he was
Where
like,
are we going? Where are we going?
Just
Just
going
go
out.
Just go to
Just
the
going.
shops, Andy.
Just
Come
going
on.
to the shops. And then he turns out he was side of a
Go
Liverpool.
on the shops.
I want to give a shout out to Scott McTominay because he is the man that Eric Ten Hag tried to hang everything on when it came to Man United. He got him out of the team, didn't want to play him. Start playing Mason Mount instead of him. Start playing fellas that are just awful in midfield, and then expecting United to be defensively solid. And Scott McTominay always does well for Scotland. And he comes back. He scores a goal the other day. He gives away a penalty, but fuck that. He still scores a goal. And I want to give a shout to Scott McTominay just because it shows up Eric Ten Hag again, and that's just a little nod to P.
Robbie.
I didn't know this was going to happen. So, top of my head, your man Braithwaite from Everton, I thought was fucking had a brilliant game on Saturday. And
Quality.
you should keep an eye on him. Yeah. I thought he had a tremendous game for definitely their player of the match anyway.
There's a bang of John Stones off him. He looks like a John Stones away from Everton to somebody, doesn't he? Yeah. That's what he looks like.
Yeah. Thought he was excellent.
I want to give a shout out to the Bundesliga for going back to being cool again because nobody's watching it anymore. So it's great. So you can go watch the games like that and you can learn about all these fellas that nobody ever hear about.
I watched one Bundesliga game last season. It was Dortmund against Mainz on the last day. Remember if they won,
Oh yeah.
And it was absolute and utter fucking carnage. And I went, how are these winning this league? They are bleeding all over the place. But I don't watch German football.
No, the only reason I started to pay any passing attention is because Xabi Alonso, who I always thought would be at some day would be a great Liverpool manager, is doing an amazing job at Leverkusen, has them top of the league, right?
You see him pinging the balls around in training. Joke job,
bit fast. Game's a bit fast from these days, though. Let's be honest about it, right? So it's just that's ready to be let down. But what I was amazed to find out when I was watching a bit of this coverage was that Stuttgart are second in the Bundesliga, and that to me, as much as I want to give a shout out to Leverkusen, the fact that Stuttgart are ahead of Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund and Leipzig, I think is phenomenal stuff because they've got the budget I'd say they've got like 3 bags of spuds, a packet of smokes, and 10 gargles.
Were they relegated a couple of seasons back and came back up? Stuttgart, And give a shout out to Girona in Spain, second in the league. And I'm only saying that because they were part of me winning better the weekend. They were 2-0 down after 25 minutes, 1-5 on the joint top around.
Were they our football in the world team?
They were one of my football in the world teams, yeah. I don't know why, but I miss football in the world. We're not going back to that.
Well, I want to give a big shout out to Girona as well. An incredible city and a great place to go cycling. That's all I'm going to say. It's a lovely place, and all the pro cyclists go there. So if you want to go and talk to any pro cyclist, go there around October, November, December time because that's when they all go.
There. I'm not going into a bleeding bunch of cyclists. What's the gargle like?
It's the point of EPO. That's all it is.
Yeah. You can go drink the drink up to Rock Corba and come back around the place and you have a chat with the lads and a nice coffee.
You imagine me turning up there now with you on a bleeding racer. I got a rally chop. I go, right boys, where are we after today? And all these boys suited up. No.
But yeah, fantastic, and it's great for the lads. And VfB Stuttgart, I played for them in FIFA 13, and it was it's like I have a big soft spot for them because I played for them in FIFA 13. I just want to say that probably the last time I played FIFA, so it was phenomenal stuff. So well done to them.
Okay. I don't have anyone else. I don't want to give out about anyone else.
All right, Grant. Any bad things? I just want to say again, it's great to see referees being brutal, and it's keeping that consistency in their performance. At least we'll always have something to talk about on a week-to-week basis.
I have one.
Yep.
Newcastle United and the way they paraded Tonali around the pitch after the game against Crystal Palace the other day.
Did they?
They have T-shirts.
Yeah. No, like literally the game was over. And Eddie Howe, and what's that other Mongo that's beside Eddie Howe every week? It's all about him. What's his name?
Sheikh Mohammed.
No, not the owner. Like he's the assistant manager, but he thinks he's like he basically wants a statue outside of St James's Park before Alan Shearer. Tyndall, is it? Tyndall,
that's it.
Yeah. So like, it was actually someone on Twitter sent me a video, and he's like, like he's walking and the manager and the assistant manager pushing him towards the crowd and clapping them and everything, and you're like, lads, this fella's being done for betting against his own team, and you're bleeding. This is the way you're carrying on. Like if now, I'm not saying
to get around the whole pitch.
No, look, he went down. He got booked for time wasting doing that, and I think that was part of the bet. But
it was grand because the bet was done on the imaginary Saudi Arabian bet website. 350 million commercial sponsorship deal out of, so that's grand.
Yeah, but he's claiming he's a gambling addict, right? And that's a serious issue, right? There's no doubt about that. I'm not going to joke about gambling addicts, right? But if he is, he needs help, right? And if he needs help, and a result of that is that he's going to get banned from football for doing something he shouldn't have done. That's what happens, when that comes around. But Newcastle United shouldn't be flaunting him out in front of crowds and making him clap crowds. Their support to him should be, keep playing your football, keep your head down. You've probably done wrong, and it happened in Milan by the looks of it. You've done wrong. The Italian authorities are probably going to come down hard on you. We'll support you as best we can. You can't be bringing this fella out and parading him around the pitch. And I'm not saying that, not even to glorify him, but you're putting the spotlight more and more on him. Yeah. And it's even what he's done, or apparently what he's allegedly done, would probably lead to a significant ban from football. And if he's an addict, that's the result of what's happened, and it's not nice. It's not nice at all. And he needs the help, and he should go and get the help that he needs. But you can't, as a football club, be going out and flaunting this fella around as basically, look, he's a gambling addict. Everyone clap for him. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's not me having a go at Sandro Tonali. That's me having a go at Newcastle, going, have a bit more fucking cop on.
While we're on the Newcastle tip, I want to also congratulate them for signing a record partnership deal with Saudi Airlines. Nobody could have seen that one coming. Yeah. Their commercial department is now taking over the Manchester City commercial department for being the hardest working, best commercial department in the world at football sponsorships ever, with the places that have absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with the team that is already owned by. So that's brilliant. Fair play to them. That goes on top of the Saudi-backed Sella partnership that they also signed for 25 million a season, and I think it also goes on top of it was Sportzio, which is also backed by the Saudi Arabian PIF. So congratulations to that commercial department. They're doing hard work, putting the hard yards in there, ringing up their bosses, asking for a few more quid. Well done.
They're definitely going in at 8 a.m, right? And they're saying, right, whose turn is it to go to the shop? Right, and they're going, you go on down there, don't be worried, nobody's noticed. We've only to make one phone call today to make sure that deal is being done. And your man comes back with all the bleeding rolls and the teas and the coffees and the papers and all. They're going to sit there for the day, and then they make a couple of phone calls about 12:30. They knock down the head about 1, and then every day someone takes a turn to go out and do their shopping, or pay a few bills or whatever. They're doing fuck all. They're just making the odd phone call every day. Yeah, that deal's in the bag. Happy days, And
it's just I just want to go through their. I just decided to put it up here. The commercial partners, Sella, created in Saudi Arabia. They have Noon, which was founded and based in the Middle East, and launched the consumer platform. Guess where? Bet you can't guess where they launched the platform.
Saudi?
Cluny.
Close. Weather's slightly different. And of course, they've signed with Saudi Arabian Airlines, which happens to be in Saudi Arabia for anyone who's missed that. So well done to them all.
Take the piss. They're not even making up stupid names for companies anymore. They're just going Saudi, and Saudi will be the fucking next one.
Yeah. It's like, I'm amazed they haven't signed Sadio Mane.
Yeah.
Like that. Well, of course, he plays for them anyway because he's playing out in Saudi Arabia. Actually, did you see that league? That's my last one on the things that I don't know whether I like.
I've seen the attendance for one game was 696 people.
But did you see the speed of it? We're talking 1994 level of speed in the league. It's shocking.
Is this 86 World Cup, 82 World Cup?
Yeah, I'd fancy Charlton from 1997 to beat any of those teams in the Saudi league, no matter who's playing for them. And your man Neymar has done a cruciate ligament, so he doesn't have to do anything. All he do is be tweeting and Instagramming something about Saudi Arabia for $100,000 a day. Like, it's job done. Yeah, job done. It's a big, huge, massive job done. Right. Anything else you want to throw in, Gav?
No, I'm done.
Okay, Robbie, anything from your side?
No, I'm good, man. Thank you.
Well done on running the race that you did there recently. I saw pictures of you. You got to the end of it, and that was the most important thing. Well done. That's what I like to see.
Crawled over the line, yeah.
It was
That's
a bleeding
all
race.
you
It must have been a race from the Cop to the Glenbook after the bleeding match.
I know I'd win that.
Yeah, but well done. Very impressive. Right, that has been the show tonight. We don't have a name for it. It's just Talkin Kop. It's a Monday night. It's the Monday night club. They used to call that a long time ago, but that's what it is, right? It's
one at the start and one at the end. I like it.
Yeah. And that's what it is. And we'll be back next week. I'll be on again. I'm the host. I didn't want to be the host, but I'm the host as it turns out. So
you like being the host. We'll get 2 people for next week.
So that's been Gav over there. That's been Robbie over there. I've been your host, Phil Casey. Thanks for all the comments and the stuff. We'll have more stuff during the week. Good night. God bless.